The new Clipse album, Let God Sort 'Em Out, is out. Every single song from this album is already on my playlist just to set the tone. I've been waiting for a Clipse album for a while. The thing is, growing up in the early 2000s, you heard the beat to grindin' played on school lunch tables. Physically played on school lunch tables. As a matter of fact, at certain tables, it was a rite of passage. You could not sit at this table if you could not play the beat to grind it. It's not hard. I don't make the rules. I just enforce them. But like I'm saying, like it's not hard. You can do it on one hand, but you gotta do it. I've been waiting for this album for a while. We've had Clipse songs on Pusha T albums, but Pharrell produced Clipse album? Pusha T? Malice? Together again? Yes, sir. Yes. I was excited. And I'm excited to say that I enjoyed the whole thing. To be honest with you, some people are pointing out like, oh my God, can you believe Malice still has it? Yes, of course I can believe it. I know it seems weird in this day and age. Like artists are getting older and it kind of seems like they're losing what made them special in the first place because they're trying too hard to cater to something that they're not. But when you're just real, when you're just Malice and Pusha T and you just do what you've always been doing and you don't try to cater to a certain type of sound, yeah, they still have it. They don't have to pretend. They just be themselves. And that's all over this album. I'm not going to talk about every song, even though I mean, I could. And now that I'm skimming through like Mike Tyson, Blow to the Face, So Far Ahead, The Gospel, Pharrell, we're not going to cover everything, but we'll cover, listen, let's talk about So Be It and Ace Trumpets first. First of all, Ace Trumpets, I heard, I've talked about it before. I heard, obviously, before the album came out, was very excited because I love the song. And also, that Lady Gaga line from Malice, people are quoting that all the time already. It's a classic. And also, like, Ace Trumpets has a beat that you don't get in a lot of other albums, really, you know? And that's nice. That's nice nowadays. That's why that's exactly why you want Pharrell to produce your album. But you know, Push has always had this ability to rap on non-typical beats. Like he's worked with Flume in the past for the song Enough. Look up Flume if you've never heard of him. Not typical hip hop beats. You know what I mean? Technically, I mean Vince Staples has as well in Big Fish Theory with Yeah Right, and technically Kendrick has as well. Flume and Sophie, they worked with them. I like when that happens. It doesn't always work out because sometimes you know the beats are really out there, but it like when you're willing to do that. You know, when you're willing to rap on a beat that isn't typical, it just shows technical ability in my mind. But more importantly, you know, Push and Malice say things that you could come back to 5-10 years later and go, you know what, he was right about that. And that's legacy to me. You know, these things that Push, even things that Push has said and just beefs that he's had with other people that you might not be able to personally relate to because you don't know these artists. He said things about their personalities and the way they behave and the way they move around in the industry and the snaky behavior that you might not know that artist personally, obviously, but you've probably met somebody in your personal life and you've thought, oh, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I hate that kind of behavior. That's just being real. That leaves legacies. That's some of these artists that have tons and tons of streams. And like I said, you know, like I listen to Travis. I'm not going to sit here and deny that I listen to Travis Scott. But some artists get a lot of streams and they talk about like being worried about leaving legacies. And then there's some artists that don't get the same amount of streams, you know, because they don't kind of appeal to that mainstream sound in certain ways. You know, their hip hop album doesn't have songs that randomly pop up in like top 50 pop playlists. You know what I mean? And yet, even with fewer plays, they're not concerned about that legacy aspect as much because they know the legacy is already there. The seeds are planted. You know what I'm saying? If you know, you know. But it is what it is. So Be It is I mean, the beat is phenomenal. It is impossible to not bob your head to this beat. Even people that typically, like I've seen reaction channels that typically only react to like certain very trap, you know, oriented type beats, stuff that's going to sound really good in a car. I've seen them hear So Be It and instantly get attached. Like it is just such a catchy beat. Man. And I liked the So Be It Part 2 potential beat, but I'm glad that they eventually got the licensing, you know, the rights to use the sample, they got the sample cleared to use the original So Be It beat for the you know, the beat that was in the YouTube video. And obviously there's a lot of you know, the drama around Utopia and everything that was brought up in this album, but or in So Be It the song. But if you, I mean, obviously you can look past that because Malice has a phenomenal verse. Like, not a lot of people talking about the drama, not enough people talking about Malice's phenomenal verse, and obviously Push. But we get Push, you know, we get a lot of Push releases. Push puts out his own albums, and they've all been phenomenal. Daytona is one of my favorites, obviously, and even I mean, obviously, as a Clipse fan, you can go way back to Lord Willin', but the point is, we've had Push through Clipse, and we've had Push solo albums a lot more than we've had Malice albums. So it's like just hearing Malice is exciting. It's good to hear. But anyways, what other songs do I want to cover real quick without making this video like 20 something minutes long? The Birds Don't Sing is a good start. We'll say The Birds Don't Sing because I feel like it's another one of those songs. It's very real. It's very vulnerable for them. You know, if you have family that you care for, you can probably relate, even if you didn't necessarily have the best dad. I didn't have the best dad, but I did have a loving and caring mom, and I did have a grandpa that was ultimately my father figure who would take me on fishing trips. You know what I mean? And that line that they have about the password to their dad's phone being "I love my two sons." I mean, damn. And the Tiny Desk concert, and Malice is getting emotional. I mean, like that's that vulnerability, that's that authenticity that I like. You know, that's why you have people like Tyler the Creator and Kendrick Lamar on the album. People have, you know, I mean, specifically Kendrick. I don't know if you know about the beef recently. You might have heard about that little beef he had with Drake. But there seems to be this real push for like, hey, listen, the industry is the industry, but like we as artists, you know, I don't know why I'm saying we as artists like I'm participating, but it seems like there seems to be a consensus with certain artists in the industry across the board. They're like, hey, we don't all need to play this label, you know, industry politics bullshit. You know what I mean? We can still make good music, and sometimes it extends beyond the music. You know, that is the plus of just being real and authentic. And Birds Don't Sing is such a phenomenal way to start that off. And I will say it is funny, the juxtaposition of, you know, just kind of going through the album, just starting off with the Birds Don't Sing, and then just let's start pushing kilos. It's like, dear God, all right, okay, sure thing. Oh man, I'm going to talk about a few more. The next three are going to be songs with features, because I will say this. I like the fact that every feature on this album, and that includes even the ones I'm not talking about, like Nas is also on this album. Every feature, everyone sounds hungry. And I like that. And I think that you get that when you have, you know, the main artists, Pusha T, Malice, and Pharrell, when they're heavily invested and it's obvious that they're hungry. When you bring features on that are more than just like, I just want to bring this guy on because this beat sounds good and I think they're going to get me more attention. When the featured artist is also hungry, it's just a recipe for success, baby. FICO is my favorite song on this album. I can say that now. I probably listen to So Be It more, but FICO is going to surpass it by a lot. I was excited for the Stove God Cooks feature. One thing I love about Stove God Cooks and like West Side Gun, and I've seen TikToks about this. You ever cooked a brick in the air fryer? You ever done that? No. I can't say I have. Cannot say that I have, but I'll listen. This is a catchy hook. You know, like, it's fun because people bring up kitchen lights and stuff. I know I'm kind of going off, but like, there's this whole, there was like this trend on TikTok at some point going through like West Side Gun lyrics and Stove God Cooks lyrics, and like hearing lyrics that you just absolutely cannot relate to as like a kid that was never selling any type of drugs, or those videos where it's like he was out here selling drugs in this kind of weather. Those are classics to me. FICO is another one of those hooks that like, it's so catchy. I can imagine somebody singing it and people are just kind of looking at him like, what did you just say? I've been whistling the sample from FICO nonstop. I've been singing the hook nonstop. It does suck that we don't get the verse, but the hook is just so good. And we do also, the thing is you have Pusha T and Malice, and there's other features on this album with artists that are literally touring in stadiums and touring the world right now. And Pusha T and Malice are holding their own as artists that are not like at the same mainstream level. You know what I mean? But yeah, FICO's 1000% my favorite song on this album. I've listened to it so much, and it's going to get played a lot more. You know, 850 minimum is the motto from here. I'm not even at 850. All right, my FICO. Listen, my credit score is not 850, but here every time I hear FICO, and I'm getting clowned on by Push, like, come on, bro. every single time I'm like, all right, fine, fuck it. 850 minimum. I'm working on it. God damn. Okay. I got you. But then, oh man, the other features. I'll cover 2 more songs. I recommend you listen to this album. So Far Ahead is right. I'm so tempted to talk about So Far Ahead, Mike Tyson blow to the face, but I want to talk about the other 2 features because obviously the other 2 features, some of my favorite artists, Tyler and Kendrick. Let's cover POV first. Tyler is hungry, bro. Tyler, I love when Tyler is when he is bragging. You know, I feel like Chromacopia. Whenever I first heard Thought I Was Dead, and I'm gonna butcher the line. Hold on, cause it's a line about pull up old tweets. I'll moonwalk all over that shit. Tyler, wait, hold on. Hello? It's not low. Okay, hold on. Listen, I'm searching. Where is it? Get me to the third. I'm gonna have to scroll down because Schoolboy Q is actually on the album. Further. Damn, dead air. Pull up old tweets, pull up old t-shirts, all that. I'll moonwalk all over that bitch. Oh, white boys mocking this shit. Y'all mad at me? You can suck my dick. I do love when they pull up like old Tyler whenever he was like, well, he wasn't even really beefing with Ian. He just kind of called out certain people, and Ian fans felt targeted. And they started like pulling up his old tweets and his edgy song, and then he's like, "Listen, I don't give a fuck." I love that mentality, and that mentality, like that hunger, is in POV. It's in POV. It's phenomenal. Plus, Tyler's worked with Pharrell in the past on Cash In, Cash Out, which is also a phenomenal verse. He has a phenomenal verse in that song as well. Tyler and Pharrell work together very well, which makes sense because Tyler's a huge fan of Pharrell. But then at the same time, such a catchy hook on POV, such a catchy hook, and Pusha and Malice's verse also hold up against Tyler, who is currently touring the world. Like you have Push and Malice who are so like anti-industry in a lot of ways, to the point where they had to release under a different label because of drama with UMG. And they're holding their own with Tyler, who is currently touring the world. He's a mainstream artist. But then we have Chains and Whips. This is the last song I'll talk about. I did cover like Ace Trumpet, So Be It, and Birds Don't Sing. But it kind of feels bad covering so many features, but the songs with features are so good on this album. First off, the instrumental. Where else are you going to get an instrumental like this? Where else are you going to get an instrumental like the instrumental on Chains and Whips? There's not. It's a song you could hear in Sinners. I just watched Sinners the other day. It fit in perfectly with like the overall sonic, like the sound of that entire movie. And obviously you have certain. I don't know if you know that the Push has currently been going at Jim Jones, and Jim Jones. We don't need to get into it. But even like past all of that, you have an angry Kendrick, which I'm a huge Kendrick fan. It's no secret. We have the Good Kid, Mad City poster in the back. You know, I went to the GNX tour this past May. Huge Kendrick fan. This post-therapy era of Kendrick has been very, very good to me as a Kendrick fan, to be 100% honest with you. Like if you see like YouTubers, not to get into like lame YouTuber stuff, but YouTubers, when they go to therapy, it seems like they go on like 5-year apology tours and then they just stop making anything good at all. They're just constantly in a cycle of being like, I'm sorry, listen, I'm sorry, I went to therapy. Kendrick's like, I went to therapy and yeah, I just learned I don't give a fuck. He's just so mad, dude. And I do think, he points out certain things about the industry kind of underestimating him because, he doesn't put out albums as much as certain other artists do. And he doesn't try to really kind of always appeal to like the youngest group. And yet he did. I mean, Kendrick, it's kind of obvious that he doesn't kind of play into like just the mindless stuff that like they expect out of young listeners that, labels tend to, they expect like younger listeners that they don't care, but they don't want to think. They just want to move around. Kendrick was able to do his own thing and still appeal to that group. Like when you think of like even if you look at Not Like Us, man, the beat to it. Like, see, we're getting into other things. There's certain aspects about this album that make me bring up things about hip hop in general that I just really like, you know, as a genre, as a whole. You know, as somebody that's just, I've been a music fan my entire life. You know, my dad got me 36 Chambers when I was 6. My mom wasn't very excited about it, but you know, it is what it is. And at the same time, I think a year after that, my aunt got me a Korn CD. My mom's like, you need to make sure it's the censor. You need to go up to a Walmart to get a censored one. She did not get the censored one. My mom was pissed. I'm listening to Wu-Tang Clan and Korn uncensored at like 6 and 7. But you know, I've been a fan of hip hop since I was a child, and there's an authenticity that comes from every artist involved in this project. Push, Malice, Pharrell, Kendrick, Tyler, Stove God, like obviously Nas. Nas is in, you know, Nas is in my top 5 just in general. But there's, man, I don't want to get all weird and I don't want to get weird and sentimental about it, but there's this authenticity is something that well, I'll say this: lack of authenticity kills genres. To use a bad example, dubstep, right? Skrillex came out, made dubstep blow up. I am of the opinion that part of the reason dubstep died off so fast is because so many people wanted to be Skrillex. You had this genre where you could literally make music out of anything. People made jokes about Transformers and toilet sounds. You could make it out of anything. And yet so many artists were just trying to copy what Skrillex was doing. And I think that lack of an idea, like an original idea, the ability to just be yourself, that's what kills genres. And I think that as much as like certain artists are appealing to like the mainstream and getting in those top 50 playlists for, you know, they're pushing out songs that are in the top 50 pop playlists, even though they're hip hop artists or rap artists, whatever. I think that underlying level of authenticity is what keeps a genre going, because those are the fans that aren't just here for, you know, the next few years. You know, these are fans that weren't like, they're not just moving from genre to genre, like whatever's popular at the time. These are fans that stick around for a long time. These are fans that I feel have kept a genre like hip hop constantly at the forefront. Like there might be times where it kind of hits a valley, but then it peaks. You know what I mean? That's important. That authenticity is important in the long run. But anyways, I said I didn't want to make this video 20 minutes. And I only talked about what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 songs. I barely talked about So Far Ahead and Mike Tyson Blow to the Face. But I mean, this album is I don't give number scores to albums, but every single song is on a playlist. Some I listen to more than others. FICO is just nonstop. It's nonstop lately. I'm whistling it in the shower. But yeah, a phenomenal album. Obviously there's drama around, like, I guess Justin Bieber's album being released. Whatever, I don't care. I heard Drewski was on that album saying that Justin Bieber has a black soul, or I don't. All right, I guess. Hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. But I don't know. We don't need to get too much into any of the other stuff. Phenomenal album. I recommend you listen to it, especially if you just love hip hop, just in general. There's just classic lines on here that I mean, if you know, you know. If you know, you know.